Welcome back to the Money Hill, your number one Call of Duty podcast with a betting focus, of course. We just went through our bottom six. We are going to take you back through our top six. Welcome to episode 2. If you missed episode 1, go hit that. Should be in the description below, or it's the prior video. And just hammering it straight away. Number 6 on the list this year for the boys. Average ranking 5.7. Boston Breach, interestingly enough, coming off what I would call a gatekeeper year last year. I personally have them at 7, so outside of the top 6. Ooh. I'm not sure I entirely trust this roster to be as good as people expect them to be. I think they will pop off at points, punch above their weight just a little bit, and make playoffs. It seems like they've gone sideways, if anything, and I would argue that. I think Nero at points was like a phenomenal player last year. I'm just not sure how well he's going to function in Modern Warfare 2. That's one of the things that worries me a little bit here. I think Vanguard was good for him, but I think they've nerfed movement a little bit to the point where like maybe he's not as prominent. I think Vivid may have a chance to shine if that's the case.
Yep.
But outside of top 6 for me personally. So number 7, Boston Breach. But
yeah, Nikki, you and I have this same spot. Number 5.
Yeah. Number 5, and really it's about the B tier for me right here, and that is the gatekeeping tier. So like you saying that they were gatekeepers last year, it's a sideways move. I actually think it's an upgrade for me, just like flat out. TJ for O, it just like makes complete sense for me. Like that's an upgrade, that's straight up. I also think they have very nicely defined roles. They know how they're gonna play. I was just very impressed by Nero. I like Vivid as a player, and I think Methodz is just like a rock. So this is just a very solid team. They are in the 5th, 6th place with the potential to go higher, and it really depends on if Owakening is that kind of X factor that tips them over.
So
okay.
I think for me, I have him in 5th place. To me, this is a bet on Owakening. I am a Owakening fan. One thing worth noting is this team between Methodz, Nero, Owakening, and Vivid. Other than Vivid, not a super dope S&D team. And so I do worry that their shortfall could be arguably the most important game in the most important match. S&D is an important one. You know, I think you've always said, you know, you win based on that your S&D.
S&D wins championships.
S&D wins championships, and so therefore
we know this.
I think if it's, you know, Nikki, based on your rankings, I would also put them in like a B tier. I don't think that they're quite going to be challenging for championships in and out. To me, 6th place feels right. You know, after our other conversations as well. Yep. This is going to be a gatekeeper team to me, and so my 5th place bet is a bet on Owakening, but I could easily see this team sliding to 7th or 8th, and I don't really see them outperforming 5th. So
I think there's one little thing I do want to just add also. When you look at some of the stats from last year overall, Methodz is in the top 5 of KD. Awakening is constantly popping up in a lot of the hardpoint top 5s. So you have 2 players there that I think are basically, when you look across, and Vivid and Control is popping up quite a little bit. So you have players that are consistently putting stats out around the top 5, at least 2 of them.
Yeah.
And that to me...
Yeah, but the problem there is, like, if your submachine guns are getting gunned, you aren't on the objective. Like,
true.
It's going to prove to be a problem unless they perform.
Yeah.
And I think Nero and Vivid are capable of doing it. I'm not saying they're not. But, like, just because the AR stats are great doesn't mean you're, like, still winning maps. We've seen a lot of that with Insight, like, in the past, interestingly enough. I also have another point I'd like to bring up.
Please.
I hope someone gets subbed out so that Beans plays. And that is my point. That's it. That's all I have to say. All right. Coming in at number 5, average rankings. Nikki, this is going to come as a little bit of a shock to you considering they are number 3 on your rankings. Seattle Surge with an average ranking of 5.0. Chris and I leveling out here with Surge at number 6. Can you spell regression, baby? That's all I have to say.
REG.
Outrageous. Outrageous.
It's really not that outrageous when you consider that accuracy and Mack were liabilities last year and they got carried, and I don't expect it to continue.
Agreed.
So,
sorry, what position did they finish at the World Championships?
I will say,
So just
Mack,
they
I will say, Mack,
finished-
great flu game out of him at midseason. Incredible stuff.
What position did they finish at the World Champs?
Who'd they beat at champs?
Yeah, that
Oh my
was
God,
exactly.
beat
And who'd they
Optic.
beat at
Whoa, that's
champs
crazy.
to get that
Yeah, that's
third place?
crazy.
Who'd
Ooh.
they beat? Optic Gaming. So
Optic's
this
ability
is-
to recapture
this is-
success
you
after the
can
injury
say
was
if
impossible.
they got carried to a third place position. You don't get
Yeah,
that is
but
very
don't,
high.
Don't
and you're
get
beating
swindled.
Optic.
Don't get swindled into this third place shenanigans. They finished at 5th place last year, considerably below some other teams.
That is true.
And-
Overall, 5th place.
Overall 5th place. I see this being not even a regression season, maybe as much as Scoot is alluding to, given that they would finish in the exact same place as last year. But to me, this is a team, whether it be Accuracy, Mack, Pred, or Sib. Look, these guys are good, right? I really like Pred. I really like Sib. How this comes about this year, it is a different game now, right? And so we don't know what they're going to be like when they're not on Vanguard. And so I have them right in 6th place, right? Kind of a little bit of a regression. Scoot, you had them in 6th. Nikki, you have them
Wait,
in
where did
3rd.
Ultra finish last year? You clearly have the rankings up.
Ultra finished in 7th place.
And what did they kept the roster together after the year before? After outperforming season? Is that
That's true. When you
happened there?
switch games.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you switch games.
that's
But the thing about this team is that they don't need those two to be power hitters. They just need them to be consistent. And if they can be consistent, then you have Sib and
problem.
Pred who are basically across the board in the top 5. KD, top 4. You have Hardpoint Sib is number 1. You have Pred is number 4. You look at whether it's Control, whether it's S&D, whether it's Hardpoint, they are in the top 5, those two. And if they are able in the World Championships when it's the clutches on stage and the pressure is on to carry their teammates to top 3, so long as their teammates continue to perform like that, they're going to get top 3 finishes all year long. And that's what I'm talking about. And if these two, if Accuracy and Mack are able to actually just start delivering more consistently, this team is a championship contender. That's my point. The second if those two figure their shit out and they just don't throw a little bit, Pred and Sib have the potential to take them to a title.
But do you think Pred's as good this year?
No.
Less cracked movement. We're talking it kind of presents an issue for a team that relies on him so much. I love to see your conviction.
I
love
generally
it.
these
I
two.
absolutely
There
love
is
it.
I don't know how you guys have forgotten about Pred and Sib, but they were incredible players. They took them to a third place
they're
finish, and you're now
Incredible.
telling me
I've
a
loved
third.
Sib since he was a sub.
There we go, and that's
Super
my
good.
point.
And by the way,
That's my
really
point.
good on land.
Great
really
players.
good on land.
They're really good
Yeah,
on
great
land.
team on
They're
land,
putting
too.
up the stats. They're putting up the numbers, and most importantly, they're also winning. And those 3 things are what matter.
Okay.
Regression.
5th place.
That's
maybe
all I've
6th.
got to say.
Yep.
All right, 4th place, coming in with an average ranking across the 3 of us at 4.7. Chris's darling Toronto Ultra. I have them personally at number 5, and my reasoning is that they've picked up the biggest liability from the Minnesota Røkkr. I don't trust Standy at all.
Hold on, do you have
especially
Ultra
after what I
above
saw.
Surge?
Yes.
Are you out your fucking mind? You
No,
literally
here's
think
why.
2 of the best players in the league
Here's
are.
why. Here's why.
God,
Here's
yeah,
why.
I can't deal with this.
They've got a consistent player in Kleenex. And
So
I think
You don't think
one of the
Pred and
best
Sib
things-
are more consistent than Kleenex?
No.
Oh,
I think
my.
Insight
One
and
season.
Insight and Scrappy,
Nikki
Insight and
saw one
Scrappy are your
season.
Pred and your Sib,
Nikki
and then
saw one
Kleenex is more
season of a
consistent than
player
the other
play
2.
okay, and he's like ready to
Scrappy's
crown
the
him.
best thing to happen to competitive Call of Duty in a while.
Agreed.
And if that doesn't say enough about the team, I don't know what will.
Yeah, okay.
That man is going to talk his
Scrappy
shit
has
this
been
year.
great.
I love this group.
He's been great in
Insight,
challengers,
Scrappy,
incredible in challengers.
so
actually.
good. I love.
Okay,
I
well,
love.
you have them ranked.
I
You have them
love
ranked
Ultra
way
taking.
higher than I do,
I
let's be
love
clear.
Ultra taking these chances. It's so good.
Okay, yes, except they're taking a chance on Standy, who it threw some games for Røkkr last year, which is why I have them at 5. I think Scrappy and Insight are going to have great seasons. It's almost telegraphed in my mind. Insight at this point is one of
Kleenex
the most
also.
consistent players in the league. Kleenex will continue to be consistent. I think he'll bomb some maps here and there, but that's Kleenex. Of course, Standy could absolutely throw a series, though. That's the thing. Kleenex can throw a map, usually regains. Standy has thrown entire series before. It worries me a little bit. Love the kid, love his abilities, but I can't put them higher than 5, and I will put them higher than Surge because I trust. In Scrappy, we trust.
But not in Sib and Pred. Not in literally.
No, I told you
this
already.
Is like mind blowing to me. Literally everything you're saying. Like I agree with you. I think Standy is like the biggest question mark for me. KiSMET, very solid, known commodity. That's fine. But Inside and Scrappy, you're rating them higher than Pred and Sib.
Easily.
Blows my mind.
Easily.
But also, you're telling me that
Mack and accuracy,
nowhere near through as much as a Standy.
That's true.
They are on the cusp of a top 4 team. So I can see how if things go right, especially with Scrappy and Inside, this is going to be a top 4 team. And Chris, your point, 100%. In original Modern Warfare, this was the top 4 team. So if we get that, I'm there. But to tell me that Surge, coming off of a top 3 finish, who have one less liability than Sandy, who have 2 players who have, by the way, statistically, straight up performed better than the 2 best players on Ultra, and you're like, nah, this team is better. Just, I don't know what you're smoking. I don't know what you're smoking. So that's my point on the Ultra.
Inside,
slump too.
Inside,
forgot about that.
One of the best, if not the best player before Vanguard. Scrappy, so much talent. I cannot wait to watch him. KiSMET, I think, is going to have a comeback season. And then Standy, to both of your points, last year, I'm throwing last year out. I'm just throwing it out. So
yeah, it's convenient because they played bad. You need to.
It's a crap game. All we did all year was rag about how shit that game is. And so to me, this is going to be the season.
Yeah. This game is worse, apparently.
This game is going to be, maybe it will be. If it is, then I'm happy to call a spade a spade. And
there goes our Activision sponsorship.
Yeah. If Toronto plays poorly this year, this game's definitely worse. But what I will say is, I have them in 3rd place. I'm extremely bullish on the comeback season. I think last season was a bit of a season from hell for them.
Take Chris's rankings with a grain of salt because he is a huge Ultra fan.
I will say that I think KiSMET is the man for the job whenever there's a comeback. So yeah,
the tissue is an issue, as they say
clever
on the casting desk. All right, so we're now breaking into top 3. Your championship contenders.
Wait, Scoot, where
coming
did you
in at number 3?
Scoot, sorry, where did you have Ultra?
5, okay. Right above Surge.
Yep.
Just to reiterate, Nikki, I don't know if you caught that part.
just
all right, coming in at number 3, LA Thieves. Average ranking of 2.7. Nikki's frozen for me, but I can tell that his facial expression is just busted right now.
I'm just clicking my fucking pen. I'm just clicking my pen.
2.7. I personally have them at number 3.
Yep.
I have trouble with the top 3, like a lot of trouble. And
that's because you're biased as fuck.
No,
you got the green light behind you. That's your only problem.
That's exactly why
is
I have
that
it.
I don't know. You banged your head in between. You put
biased.
the headband on.
I would still rank Faze above them if I wasn't biased. Now, I again, like, I have a lot of trouble with the top 3. Of course, like, LA Thieves heat up at the end of the season, have one of the most incredible 2-stretch runs of all time, and win champs. Kenny looks like World War II Kenny on a submachine gun. They're obviously going to keep that composition going this year. Can I see this team winning it all again?
No.
100%. Like, no doubt about that. They are absurdly talented. We already know that. I don't know. I expect some of, like, what we saw more towards the front end of the season to come back a little bit. I don't expect it to get into their heads to the point where it was at the start of the season, and I expect them to be a top 3 team all year and contending for the title at the end of the season. That's what I'm going with. It's a little bit of a crapshoot for me. Of course, I'm fucking biased. We know this. If you've listened to any episode ever, you know I'm biased. But I'm not biased towards Faze at all because I'm an Optic fan, obviously. So to have them at 2, spoiler, very interesting.
Nikki, I'll let you go. Nikki, I'll let you go last since we know where you have them. I have LA Thieves at 4th. To me, this is a regression season of all regression seasons. This is a team, they're going to be resting on their laurels of winning. No drive. I don't see Octane having any sort of sustained success. And so for me, this is an easy one. Last year kind of caught lightning in a bottle for about a month. And I do not see them having that continued success. I have them in 4th. I have Ultra beating them, and then I have the remaining 2 teams beating them.
Ladies and gentlemen, audio warning here.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. No, there's no audio warning. This is a slow simmer of just like I'm dealing with people with brain damage. Clearly, just straight up. You guys have hit your heads between episode 1, which you can check out in the description, and episode 2. And most of all, I know we have a lot of Thieves fans watching, and so if you agree with me, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you disagree, please comment and hit the like and subscribe button and tell us why, or me, I'm why I'm
agree
wrong.
with the other
two. Either way, I want to hear what you guys are thinking. But this LA Thieves is just like, the guys just came off an incredible run, an incredible performance. The chemistry is there. The org is supporting them. It's a great org. They're hiring the coaches. They figured out how they want to play and how they want to play together. You have Envoy, who is one of, I would say, the better players on the Huntsman at the time on original Modern Warfare. I think he will perform really well on Modern Warfare 2. I just think, like you said, Kenny seems to have found his groove again. He is playing great. And you say they're a top 3 team, but you're putting Optic, who was not a top 3 team, above them. Wow. And that to me doesn't make sense. So they are they are one of my 2 S tier teams, because this is a team that has come together, figured out how they win, and then they've gone and won. And that is all that matters, is like, what can you show? And what Optic can show is nothing since Major 1. So you can't put them above that.
I mean, they also listen.
Nothing.
All right. Well,
nothing.
We're gonna jump straight to the conversation.
Absolutely
they come in at an
nothing. They didn't even make top.
Ranking of
they didn't make top 3.
Average ranking across the podcast of 2.3. First of all, coming in at number 2 overall, Optic Texas. Of course, we're gonna have this conversation now.
Trash Texas.
One of the most detrimental injuries I've ever seen in Call of Duty history. I think it took a lot of morale out of the team, and they were very clear about that in their episode of The Process. I think the best way it was explained was by, I think, Scump, towards the end of the last episode of The Process, if you've had a chance to watch it. But they focused a lot on what was going wrong instead of what they were doing right when they were able to capture success during Major 1. And I think that is a huge hole for a team to be in. Because when you're focusing on the negatives, you're really not getting better instead of focusing on what you did well, especially when you're a team that is that talented. Now, I think the big thing there is realizing what was going on and being able to recapture that moving forward. Of course, personally, I have them at number 1. Yes, I'm biased. If you've, again, listened to any episode of this podcast ever, you know I'm fucking biased. But I think, listen, you've got a lot at work here, too. It's Scump's final season of Call of Duty that's pre-announced before the season. It's almost a Mariano Rivera farewell tour.
It's a year too late. The man's
game.
Washed up, and he should have hung it up.
I mean, he had an incredible season.
I'm joking.
Last
He did,
year,
actually.
So
please don't crucify me in the comments. Like, I know the Optic fans will come for me. I'm joking. The guys
to be
gone.
fair, he did just get engaged this summer. So
he played incredibly.
Engagement buff.
Yeah.
Engagement buff said no one ever.
Not to mention, you get iLLeY for hopefully an entire season here, and you maybe have your health concerns, but I think we're good on this one at least. At least that's what it sounds like. I don't know how much stock I put in the Dashy attitude problems, or else they wouldn't have brought him back.
Yep.
I don't think if that was not hashed out, like, they bring him back to the team. So
I mean, he's kind of
obviously
good.
They did a lot of soul searching. Yeah, he's incredible.
Maybe that's why they brought him back.
Even if he had attitude problems, he had the highest KD in the goddamn game.
Yeah, maybe that's why they brought him back.
So. Yeah, I mean, obviously. So, I don't know. I got a lot of stock in this team. There's too many storylines at work. Scump seals the deal with the final and the championship. Number 1 overall, baby, Optic Texas.
All right, so these guys, I have them in A, and they are not an S tier because of last year. Then, like, that's straight up the only reason. Like, on paper, one of the most talented rosters. Scump is playing incredibly well again. There is a bit of a concern. His performance in Modern Warfare and Optic's performance in Modern Warfare, I think, was not great. So it makes me concerned for Modern Warfare 2. You try to pretend like, hey, it's a completely different roster. It's not. 50% of the roster is still there. So
5-on-5.
I think the 5v5, very valid point there.
60%
I would say that, okay, fair enough. Yeah, but they now make up 50% of the current roster. But look, Scum had a great year. This is on paper an incredible team. I was very bullish about them last year. They have the MVP in Dashy, but I think all the same problems.
Wait.
I think all the same problems are going to come up, and this is my biggest concern: is that Dashy's attitude problems. He admitted himself. Formal has talked about it. All of them have talked about it. They've said he was turning up late to scrims, just wasn't taking feedback, wasn't answering calls, communicating. His ego got too big for the team. They decided to run it back because it is incredibly difficult to look at this roster and not go, this is a championship team. So I understand why they run it back, but I'm worried that I don't think Dashy has grown up and decided, hey, no, I'm not ego driven, and the second they start winning or losing, I think the problems arise again. My other big concern is, and this is actually the biggest red flag, is iLLeY's injury. The guy was injured. It then came out, rather than rehabbing it, while he was benched to recover, he had burner accounts and he was playing. And was not correctly rehabbing. That is a huge red flag. That is a huge red flag. The guy is so injured, he has to be taken off a team, and that's where the problem started. And he has been medically ordered to rest and recover, and he is going behind his org and his teammates' back to continue to practice, and aggravates his thumb and injury further. He aggravates it further, which means it impacts his gameplay and is a reason for their whole season being fucked up. Now, I'm not sure the injury is fully recovered, and I'm also not sure he is going to have the maturity and the discipline to rest and rehab it correctly to be healthy all the way through the year. If he is, this is a top 3 team that is a championship contender. If he doesn't, I think they're going to be a 4th, 5th place team again. Because I think he will injure himself again. He will not rehab it, and Dashy will get ego driven, and unfortunately, it will go through the same thing again.
You set ego aside when there's a legend on your team retiring.
This is a retirement season. I think that for this team in particular, Scump, legend, champion, he is going to come out on top. Now, I'm not picking them as my number 1 team. I picked them as number 2. I think this is a season where Dashy, over the offseason, they're able to get to him. They are able to get him in line. And I think that this being back, Vanguard was such a weird season. They started off the hottest team. They were number 1.
Yeah.
And then the
best team in the game.
Best team in the game, unquestionable.
Actually, no. They started off 0-2, and then they got real hot and looked like the best team in the game, to be fair.
Sure.
But they were the best team in the game by the end of Major 1.
Correct. And
never won again.
We have probably beat the iLLeY thumb injury ad nauseum at this point. This is a belief in the organization and in the structure that Hex has instilled in the game and in his team and in his players. I'm a believer in the org. I'm a believer in this team in particular. And I very much believe that this is a team that finishes unquestionably top 3. The real question is, do they have what it takes to win a major? Because since we've been watching Call of Duty League, they have yet to do that. And so this is a team that, while Scoot sits here and tells us how great, the CDL specifically, Nikki, while Scoot sits here and tells us how great they are, they've yet to win the ultimate championship. And so...
So do you mean a championship or a major?
The championship.
Oh, okay, because I was like, they've won a major. Yeah,
okay, they won a major, but like...
Let me also remind you that they've added an analyst this year, which has been a huge gripe among Optic gaming fans. So JP Krez coming on board, I think founder of COD League Stats, as well as former analyst for the New York Subliners. Maybe a red flag there.
Yeah, that doesn't make me more excited.
No. But they actually did need to add an analyst because they had 2 coaches before, but they didn't have anybody looking at the numbers. And I think that's also what has made Faze extremely successful, which also is one of my sticking points with our number 1 team this year. So average ranking 1.7 across the board. Chris, of course, coming in at number 1 on that. Myself 2, Nikki at 2 as well. I think it's time and time again, how many times are we going to have this fucking conversation? But it comes down to the 3 guys that they have remaining. Like, Simp, aBeZy, and Cellium are always at the top of the game. That's without saying. This is one of the most dangerous trios in Call of Duty history. Actually, probably the most besides the Optic Dynasty, which is 4 players anyway, so it doesn't even matter. My concern here, actually, is the addition of Slasher. And he has for a long time been a very vocal leader and almost kind of driven teams on his own. And I think absurdly talented player across the board throughout his career. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not coming after Slash or anything like that. The guy is insane. Like, let's not get this twisted. However, I think for the Faze system to work, you have to set aside a lot of, like, being the loudest voice in the room and take into account, like, what you're being told from coaches, from analysts. They have guys looking at every game mode, and they're breaking it down piece by piece. And I worry that maybe the ears won't be open to that, and he's going to try to make the system his. But at the same time, that doesn't limit Faze to an extreme point for me. I still have them at number 2. I still think this roster is incredible, and I still think they're going to stomp teams this year. By the way, Optic, 2 majors and champs. That's my prediction.
I think
I forgot about
the
that.
fact that they
2
have
majors
gone
and
back to back as the top teams in 2 years, to me just says that you cannot put them in the S tier. You have to put them in contention. I don't love the dropping of RCDs, but I also understand that they felt they needed a change. They did incredibly well in the original Modern Warfare, and so we'll have to see. I just think they're phenomenal, and we need to see it. Are we going to get another year of Vanguard where they're going to be in top 2 the whole way through, or are we going to get Modern Warfare where they win, 3 out of 5 plus champs?
Yeah, that's stupid.
Added point here, I think ceiling got higher, floor got lower for them. But I do think their potential is higher than
I don't disagree with that. And I think we all agree. Like, it was something you said earlier about RCDs. It's just like the impact he has. But Slash is a better player. And if he's a better player and can have the same in-game leadership and impact and like focus out of the game, then they've just gotten better, and then they're a championship team.
I think they're pretty on par with each other.
Yeah.
I just think Slasher has the ability to inject more pace into the game.
Well,
which
and
makes
sometimes-
Faze
and sometimes-
a more frightening roster at points.
And sometimes you just need a new voice in the locker room, right?
Yeah.
We see this all the time where you throw in a different coach or whatever it might be, and all of a sudden the exact same players are able to perform at a different level. My concern, and I have them as number 1, so obviously not too,
So what's the
so
concern?
not too much concern. You gotta have a little concern about. You gotta have a little bit of a concern about everybody. No one's perfect. No one's. At some point, this amazing team does perform less than amazing. Despite not winning any majors or the championship last year, they did still command dominantly the number 1 spot when it came to points. aBeZy makes me nervous. And I feel like this is something that a lot of people maybe have been muttering underneath their breath or not like full on talking about. But like aBeZy to me last year, not RCDs, what was a bit of a concern to me. And so the fact that they got rid of RCDs and not aBeZy, like I understand you don't get rid of Simp and aBeZy. You don't break exactly.
Yeah,
like you don't break up Simp and aBeZy. I get it. Of course you're not getting rid of Cellium. So I guess RCDs is kind of the odd man out in that, but at some point maybe you have to break up Simp and aBeZy. Again, I have them in first. It's not too big of a concern, but at some point people get old, games change, and
it's not a fall apart concern. Like clearly,
Yeah. Like you have them
Obviously
in
having that
first,
number
so
1. Like they're not going to fall out of 2 or 3. Like that's
Yeah.
they're going to be just as good. I think that's the point there, right?
I mean, the point is, maybe last year was more of a beginning of a downward trend than, I mean, like, are they going to be in the top 4? Of course. But this team doesn't measure themselves on top 4s. They measure themselves on championships.
No, not at all. Call of Duty juggernaut, almost a dynasty last year, but it got broken up just a little bit, unfortunately for them. I think that about rounds it out. I would like to phrase the question, of course, as we do at the beginning of every season, but 1-word answers only. Please do not explain yourselves here. Who's winning it all? I'll start with you, Nikki. I think we got to go with our number 1 teams, right?
I think it's actually Faze.
Really?
Yeah, I think they just
All
and
right.
the main reason is the game. They dominated Modern
Chris.
Warfare.
Hey,
Sorry, 1 word. Yeah, my bad.
yeah, back in the class. Time out. Chris,
Ultra.
who you got? Okay, well, now we're actually a joke. You know, now throw it out the fucking window.
Search.
Podcast over. All right.
Ultra.
I mean, you guys already know what I'm gonna say. I have to say it, but Optic Texas, baby, it's our year. Finally, the green light in the background. You know what's happening. Yeah, I mean, loved what you heard, hated what you heard. If you hated what you heard, leave a comment. If you loved what you heard, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. If you hated what you heard, hit the dislike button. We don't care. if you want to join the conversation, let us know how much you hated the episode or loved the episode.
Why would
join
you
our
hate
Discord.
this?
It's down in the
This is
description
fun.
below. Yeah. I mean, it's just fun,
come and tell us why we're
and-
wrong, or tell us why you're right. Like, just join the banter.
Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why we're right. Join the conversation. We got a good little community going there. If you missed part 1, go back and watch it, I guess. But part 2 is kind of more electric, if you ask me personally. And that about sums it up, folks. Also follow us on Twitter. It's in the description below as well. But yeah, Discord, main thing there. Join the conversation. Join us. Be part of the Best 3 network. We love you all. Thank you for the support.
Bye, everyone.
Catch you later.
Toodaloo.
Peace out.